Yo, what's up? Ipos vlog, video log. It's Friday, March 25th, 2016. Yeah, and yeah, nothing exciting. Just another normal day. Kind of stuck at the homestead. I've basically shutting myself in so that I don't spend any money. Hopefully, some work will roll in soon. Like I have the job. It's just they're making work. They're putting it together for me so that I can do it. Like finding the files and shit. Um, yeah, I gotta work out a little bit. I haven't been working out as much as I want to, but that's okay. I've been trying to stay as active as possible, and I gotta crank out 5 songs today. I did 5 songs yesterday. I'm gonna try to do 5 today, and then 5 tomorrow, and then 5 on Sunday, and have just a pool of stuff to work with, and um, that set of songs will be one getting them into the from the loop phase, from the clip phase into arrangement, and make turning them into 3-minute sections, 3-minute songs, um, or in the ballpark of more or less, and once that phase is complete, I will have upgraded to an or at least my skill level will have been boosted, having experience finishing X amount of projects rather than just starting them. um, but that all determines on the track, if I think it's really good, or if it's if it starts to annoy me, or it starts to sound not happening, I'm just gonna get rid of it. But a lot of these tracks are pretty good quality. My quality is improved a bunch. It comes down to a couple of different factors for songs. It's I work with drum samples, and I put it into a drum sequencer, uh, like my drum rack, and just sequence out the drums in MIDI, which is basically if you don't know what MIDI is, you just go in and enter in the it looks like a little piano. Like a piano is like this, but it's turned on its side and it has a bunch of lines, and you fill in little dots where you want the piano to play, and then that goes. It's like MIDI is the language that goes into the instrument or whatever and makes it play. Um, and that works with synthesizers as well, which I'll get into in a second. But I work with samples, drum samples, kicks, snares, hi hats, what have you, little percussion things. Um, and it's all about the ear, because you can just go into a fucking pack and just grab any old thing that is you've been told is good. You spent $50 on a fucking sound thing. You're like, oh, all of these are fucking great, but they're not. And certain things are used better in other contexts. Um, and for me, I'm a lot of producers nowadays will just be like, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna use Roland 909 because everybody's using Roland 909, or everybody's using some kind of Roland 808 kind of shit or whatever. And I'm like, I want to pull from dubstep and fucking rock and roll and fucking things like that, and grunge and shit. So I'll have I'll use an 808, but I'll layer something else onto it to change it and make it more than just an 808, to make it my own unique 808 sound. Even if it's just an 808 snare and then a little bit of some kind of crusty white noise, or some shit, just to add another layer in there. I'll do something like that. And I'd like my drums to hit a little bit more, like heavy kicks. I make all my own 808 basses in massive. Um, but usually if it's, just a static bass line, a heavy fucking kick, a heavy snare, and then probably like, some kind of filtered 808 hi-hat, like those rolling hi-hats, and yeah, maybe an extra snare in there, like an 808 snare, and then like a hard hitting snare for the main beat, and then like a with a little 808 thing. I feel like the 808 is like, I make the drum kit, and it's fucking heavy. It's pulled from other things, and it's got like, really like solid sound. And then I feel like the 808s are kind of just like dressing it up a little bit with like a sound that people have heard or whatever, but using it in a different way. So it comes down to that part of it is, picking the right kind of samples for me. If you're a producer, you want to like pick what's right for you and what sounds good to your ear, and don't get stuck into, into different kinds of things. It's good if you have a snare or something that always sounds good, then fucking use it, but also try to, branch out and shit. So it's the samples and how you use them. And then for me, it's the synthesis. Synthesis plays a huge part. I just make everything in massive. I want to have like absinthe. And I liked FM8. It was all right, but I didn't totally get it. But I think I could wrap my head around absinthe for sure. So yeah, I make all my own basses, all my own leads, atmospheric shit, everything really. So that's what basically gets me started. If the fucking drums are good and the fucking sounds are good, and the synths are, and the theme or like the ambience or like the vibe of the project has got me feeling like I want to write something, and I start writing to it and I'm feeling good about it, then I know that it's a fucking good project. But if it's kind of like, oh, this one's, then I'm just like, nah. If I don't feel it, like I'm not like, this is sick, then I'm probably just gonna bail. And I'm not trying to just make hits. I'm just trying to, like, not all of those are like, all the stuff that I get stoked about is hit quality, but it's got to be like something creative, and it's just like how other people, how other artists, like visual artists, like painters or people who draw, they'll have a sketchbook and they'll sketch things. They'll sketch all the time, and then some of those things will become actual projects. And that's how I work. I make tons of fucking sketches of bits and pieces, and then the ones that I'm like, oh, that's really awesome, where it's an idea or a concept or some kind of motif that I really like, that I take that and focus in on it and make it sick. Oh yeah, I was gonna do some like talk about some fucking storylines and stuff, but I still don't have anything yet. I mean, I do, but I don't have like something prepared. I could go off the cuff, but it wouldn't be as good as I want it to be. But I had an idea that I'd be like scaling things down a little bit in the story and completely changing the main character to a person who I thought was more of a side character. Okay, so it's the story called Neo Exis. And it's gonna be like, there's gonna be so many different stories all within the universe. So I can tell like any sci-fi story that I want, but try to fit it into the context of that sci-fi universe that I've created. it's not even sci-fi because science fiction involves like actual scientific fact, uh, or knowledge, um, or concepts or whatever, and then puts it into a fictional setting. Mine is more like, because my technology, even the technology that is in the universe, it's more of a magic. Like I like to bridge that gap between magic and technology. So I wouldn't even call it science fiction because I'm using lots of like magical things and like Deus ex machina and like God the machine kind of things where like characters are saved all of a sudden just from some sort of like deity or whatever. Like even Tolkien used that um, a lot. Like everything would be going to shit. Like they'd be like on their way and everything's going to shit and everyone's about to die. Then all of a sudden, some giant fucking birds come in out of nowhere and like save them. That's God the machine, Deus ex machina. So, but my shit, it's like it's not a science fiction. It's more of a futuristic fantasy, is how I like to think of it. Um, Even Star Wars is not considered science fiction; it's considered to be a fantasy uh, by the wigs or the whatever the people in the know or whatever. Um, so I decided that the main character would be some secondary character instead, and kind of scale everything down and make it just about her. Um, this one character named Mizzy, who's like she's a Delkin, and the Delkin have long tails with feather hairs. They're like a little strand with other strands coming off of it. They're called sisas, and they're like different colors and shit like that. And they're usually really short, and they have pointed ears and like diminished features, like um, you know, and like pretty good looking, like attractive in a certain way. But Mizzy is she's a little bit rough. She's got lots of like tattoos and piercings and things like that. Um, and she's missing. She has a missing arm in a fucking act. It got fucking taken off in an accident, but she has a cyberonic replacement, and it's really cool because she's like a firearm vehicle technology fanatic. Um, and so if she can like disassemble weapons really quickly, and she can like do like tighten bolts in a fucking car with her fucking arm, and like do lots of like work and shit with her cyberonic arm. So it's more of a like I don't know, it's like a blessing in disguise, really. It's like she lost her arm, but now she has this like valuable tool. So I don't know. I was thinking it's going to be about like her and her like adventures, I guess. And I want it to be. I was thinking of making it a novel, but now I'm thinking make them like a bunch of short stories that are episodic. You know how like if you ever read like Nancy Drew or the Hardy Boys or something like that, the novels would be by number, like number one, number two, number three, but they wouldn't really like tie into each other. They're all each their own little adventure. That's kind of how I want to do it, like a whole bunch of different episodes and have them somewhat tied in so that there's some sort of linear thing. Like maybe there's some kind of, like in Star Trek Voyager, it's very episodic, the episodes, but they tie things in together sometimes so that there's it seems like it's linear, like this happened before this and stuff like that. But the whole plot is basically formulated around the fact that they've been transported to another part of the galaxy and they have to find their way home. And the whole series is about that. But it also has its own little episodes that are kind of tied into that main plot that they're trying to get home. So I'm trying to figure out like how I'm going to pull off something like that, you know? And I'm still like thinking about it. Um, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know though. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna like. I just that idea came to me today of like making her the main character, but then it's like, how do I do that? Like, I'm sort of scrapping the whole kind of plot, the whole thing that I did before. It was such a, you know what? It was such a like a loose plot. I hadn't figured out the whole overarching arc of it. You know, the whole arc of the fucking whole saga, I guess. Um, so it doesn't matter. Like, I can like start somewhere else and still be able to use lots of the ideas that I came up with. Um, like there's tons of different drugs within the story. They're called drugs are called pharmaca. Uh, like there's lots of analogues to what drugs that we have in this reality. Analog means it's similar or it's like of the same, you know. Um, so in that universe, in the Neo Exus universe, there's this moss called Ojarui moss, and it's an analog of weed basically. And you smoke it, and you feel this almost burning sensation, like in your head and in your body. But it's not like a bad burning. It's like more of like a burning, like when your muscle is being stretched. Like when you stretch a muscle, it kind of burns a little bit. That's how it feels. But there's like that's like a more of a healing herb, you know. There's other stuff that's messed up, like this really synthetic, made with lots of like highly toxic chemicals. It's called um, slocaltherolin, and these degenerates that live out in the wastelands make it, and they basically they drink it or they shoot it. You know, they like main vein it, they shoot it up. Uh, and it just is like makes them completely psychotic, paranoid, angry, and they don't feel pain. Well, they do feel it, but it makes them laugh. Pain feels good when you're on it, so they can take lots of damage and keep on like operating. So they're makes them really fucking dangerous. Like you can just take off limbs and they're like cackling about it and still coming at you. So that's slocaltherolin. And then there's another drug that's made by these tribes. They live in, there's this huge city that takes up a fucking fat chunk. Like, it's like the city's the size of an American state, basically. And it's just gigantic, but it's mostly just fucking slums. And in the center, there's this huge towering like domes and shit like that where all the rich people live. But in the slums there's a fucking sector that's park, but it's all petrified. It's this petrified park. So all there's huge trees and they're like turned to stone basically. um, and in the park there live these tribes called trash tribes, and they make this drug, this pharmaca called trash, but only the elders of the tribe know how to make trash. Or they know only the elders know how to make the purest form. And like other like the other lower layers, they know how to make trash too, but they don't know how to make the pure fucking shit. But the thing is, to get into a trash tribe, it's really intense. What they do is, if you have to have a friend or a companion, and you enter the tribe with them. But the way you basically get initiated in is you have to take this trash. They give you black trash, which is one of the most dangerous kinds of trash. And you go with your companion, and you sit down facing each other on the ground, and you take black trash in a bowl, fill it up, and hold it in, and then you pass out, and you go into what's called a trash hole. And people in trash holes can actually die. Like your organs just shut down, you stop breathing, and you just asphyxiate. But the idea is you have to fight your way out of the trash hole. So the two people pass out, and what you do is you try to fight your way out of the trash hole so that you can regain consciousness. And the first one to regain consciousness and kill the other one gets initiated into the tribe. So that's the trash tribe. Yeah, and there's lots of other like psychedectuals. They're like psychedectual drugs. When you take them, you basically gain access to this alternate reality embedded into the reality around you, and it's called psychedectuality. So there's that, but I got to work on that one. That one I haven't fully fleshed out yet. But yeah, Missy's going to be super awesome as a main character, I think. Like have it be her on like solo missions or something like that. And I'm thinking of changing Outer Paradigm to be called Lost Paradigm. But that's some side shit. So she's going to be like working for Lost Paradigm, but as a sort of, on contract with them. Like they give her contracts, and then she does stuff because she's a weapons and vehicle and technology expert, and she's like super fucking dangerous, like assassin, mercenary, bounty hunter kind of chick. But yeah. And she has lots of messed up boyfriends and girlfriends. Like she goes both ways, and she has like lots of like really weird fucking relationships, and like really fucked up abusive relationships, and lots of like druggy deadbeat losers and shit like that. Yeah, but that is going to be portrayed not as like a character flaw, or as like she's so messed up, and it's more of like a soap opera kind of thing where it's almost a little like, I'm gonna make it a little corny, like where people are like, oh my god, like she's putting up with that kind of shit or something, or like so and so's in a fucking coma or some shit. I don't know, like not that soap opera-y, but but more of like funny, like when you're seeing two people fight about something and you're on the outside, you're not part of the argument, you're seeing them fighting, and you kind of realize like how almost silly it is what they're fighting about. That's how I like to try to see like when I'm having an argument, try to see from like the outside of it, like how I would think of it from the outside, because normally it's like, it's pretty funny. It's kind of like, oh my god, human beings and their drama, so that's kind of how I'm gonna kind of cast it in that light. Yeah, just like her with like stereotypical bad girls and bad boys and shit. Like for example, like all of a sudden some chick will just like burst out of the fucking door and fucking jump on her motorbike, and she's just she's basically in her underwear, and fucking turns on the fucking motorbike. It's actually like an air bike or something like that, an aero bike. Fucking turns it on and then just shoots off into the sky. And then fucking Mizzy runs out after her with a fucking gun, and Mizzy's completely naked. She doesn't have her cyberonic arm on, but she's holding a fucking gun, and she's fucking pointing it at her. But the chick flies off and turns the corner and shit, and Mizzy's just like, women, they're just the same as men, or some shit like that, something that like breaks like sexual stereotypes or something. I don't know. Uh, but yeah, like silly encounters like that. Anyways, I think I gotta fucking make some beats now. But yeah, that's a little. It's kind of like stuff that's been going through my head. I'm gonna do another one of these tomorrow, so yeah, stay tuned and have a fucking wicked fucking day or evening, or if you're watching this in the morning, have a sick fucking morning. Drink that coffee, slam that coffee. Smoke a cigarette. If you smoke cigarettes, that's what people do in the morning, I guess. And yeah, listen to some really awesome music and enjoy your life and push all the bullshit out of your fucking head, because we all get swamped down in some shit like that, sometimes. But we only have this life to live, so you know, try to max out, squeeze it for everything that it's worth, and you know, um, we are all the masks of the Godhead. Realize that. We're all really good, but there's a lot of we live in a dark world, so be a pillar of light for the people around you, uh, and just be awake. It's all you got to do is open your eyes. Peace.